Okay.
Hello guys, my name is Jocelyn and I will be arguing why we shouldn't lift these barriers. Okay, so it would be a tragic choice for Canada, the United States, and the world if the Keystone pipeline was put into action to process crude oil. Now Becky Bond, who is a political director of Credo, a company dedicated to changing the world through progressive philanthropy and political activism, expressed how that pipeline is going to bring some of the dirtiest stuff on earth across the United States, down here to Houston where it can be refined and shipped to Asia and burned. So the completion of the Keystone pipeline would ultimately harm the environment and negatively affect society and the land that it crosses through. Now to begin with, it will affect the environment because by expanding the production of synthetic oil, America is putting the nation's environment in jeopardy. A report made by CNN stated that TransCanada said the Keystone pipeline would pump 850,000 barrels of tar sands oil per day through America's heartland, connecting crude producers in Canada with the refineries and shipping companies in the United States. However, the process of pumping the oil has a negative effect on the environment. According to the National Wildlife Federation, tar sands oil is one of the most destructive, dirty, and costly fossil fuels. The pipeline was originally proposed to carry 850,000 barrels of oil daily, but however, increased demand from Eastern Refinery has seen that number pumped up to more than 1.1 million barrels per day. Now, the process of extracting the oil and transporting it requires more energy than pumping crude oil any other way. This oil reserve is located beneath the forest in Alberta, Canada. Now, oil companies are digging pine forests like the one located right above the pipe where the Keystone pipeline begins. Now, to extract the tar sands, it leaves behind huge toxic wastelands. To remove the thick black oil from the sand, they heat it using natural gas and wash it using enormous volumes of fresh water. 2 to 4 barrels, which is 84 to 168 gallons of fresh water, are contaminated just to separate the oil from the sand. Now in this process, they create toxic lakes that are so large they are visible from space. Now just in 2008, 1,600 migrating ducks drowned after landing in the contaminated water that was used during this process. Now this increases pollution as well and puts the communities located around the refineries, which already fail to meet basic clean air standards for soot and smog pollution, at further risk of respiratory disease. To sum it up, more air pollution would be present at refineries. Now the burning the tar sands oil will increase the Earth's temperature by a minimum of 2 degrees Celsius, which NYU Law School's Environmental Law Center estimates can permanently cut the U.S. GDP by 2.5%. Now as to why the pipeline will have a negative effect on the land it crosses. The leaks that result from the pipeline are dangerous and will put the land that it crosses through in serious danger. The coordinators at TransCanada, which are running the pipeline, argue that the Keystone pipelines are the safest in the continent. But what about those 12 spills that occurred in the first year of production back in 2010? The spills occurred in South Dakota, Missouri, Oklahoma, Kansas, North Dakota. A bunch of them occurred in just like those single states. And in total, more than 2,000 gallons of oil leaked. More than 23,000 gallons of sand crude oil leaked in just the first year of the production. Now, when the Keystone pipeline was produced in 2012, TransCanada stated that the project would have no significant impacts on most resources that surrounded the pipeline. After the spills occurred, TransCanada concluded that the Keystone will disrupt over 20,000 acres, including 11,000 acres of native and modified grassland, more than 2,000 acres of forest land, more than 4,000 acres of agriculture/cropland during the construction, and it would disturb more than 700 acres of wetlands, river systems, and open water. And it would require 20 to 50 years for forested wetlands to recover, and the demand, and lastly, it would physically disturb archaeological sites. Now, the U.S. Department report, who supports the Keystone Pipeline, previously stated the crude oil spills are not likely to have toxic effects on the public, but more than a year after an oil spill that occurred in Louisiana, residents and workers from the Louisiana Gulf Coast were still suffering from the spill-related illnesses, which included headache, nausea, vomiting, kidney damage, and irritation of digestive tract. And some of these serious problems also included lung damage, cancer, pulmonary edema, and many more diseases. Now, the Trans-Canada County Commissioner confessed he didn't even believe that such a serious problem would arise from the pipeline. So as you can tell, not only are they willing to, the businesses who also are proposing the Keystone Pipeline are willing to go and trespass against people living in these areas just to collect their land. And there was a case where this woman named Julianne Crawford decided not to allow the company to construct the pipeline through her land, and she ended up having to file a restraining order to TransCanada. And TransCanada is currently asking for that restraining order to be dissolved. As you can tell, not only are they willing to take such extreme actions to gain property for the completion of the pipeline, but like I stated before, it would do more damage to the environment and the land where it would be built.